Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So for today's little Halloween project, I'm going to be working in my 8x8 black Dylusions journal. I've not played with this for months. I think the last time I played with this was sometime in May. So I'm going to have a go at working in this one today. And I'm going to create a double page spread. So I've got some paint. So I've pulled out some Halloween-y colours. So these are my favourite Halloween colours out of the Deakin acrylic paint. So we've got blackberry, which is a nice purple, tangerine, which is obviously an orangey tangerine, and a lime green. But I've also got midnight or night, which is a really deep kind of dark blue. So I'm going to be utilising this in the background of my double page spread today. But to build up the background, I want to use my brayer. I want kind of really broken up kind of background for this one. So I've got a piece of scratch paper, I've got my brayer, there we go, and I'm going to be adding some paint onto, let me see if I've got my little plastic mat that I can use. I've got that many different polypropylene mats and things to use. So I shall put the white paper to one side. I've got this paint mat here that I can load up my brayer with, and I can add some of this midnight or night. It should be called midnight. Dina, you missed a thing there. You missed a trick. You see that? You can see the blue tones coming through, and I'm going to put those, and I'm doing this on black paper, but it will add some of those nice different kind of tones to the background. Virtually unrecognisable, but this isn't going to be unrecognisable, unseen, but as you're building up your foundation for your page, sometimes we put items on our art journal pages that in the end kind of get absorbed and disappear. It's not a bad thing, it's just I always liken it to a good foundation to a building, or some really nice, comfortable and supportive underwear. You know they're there, nobody can see it unless you're lucky, yay. So you know they're there, and it just helps the overall structure and support for what you're building. So even if you can't see it, you know it's there, and it just helps the whole thing. So I'm going to get that one dry. I will be adding some more of that a bit later on, but for the time being I'm just adding that dark blue midnight colour, as it's now going to be known, because Dina missed a trick. Get it dry, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so dry. So this time I'm going to, excuse me, I should have brought a drink up. I'm going to be using the blackberry, and I'm just going to put it straight on top of that blue. I'm not going to bother cleaning this. So again, we'll start going over. I'm adding the darker tones first. So darker colours are going to go on first, and the lighter after. And of course I'm using different amounts of pressure, going different directions. That'll do. Clean that off on my scratch paper. That's it, that's clean. Once again, let's get that dry. Okay, so that blackberry is now dry. When the book's flat, you can't really see it. Well, you can, but not as well as when you actually tip it and actually catch it in the light. Fabulous background colour, love it. So I'm going to add on some of the lighter colours now. So I'm going to add on some orange. I have just cleaned off my little paint mat to the one side from that purple because I don't want it to contaminate and go like mud. Now this is dry, it shouldn't mix. So now on those areas that are missing some of that colour, I can now start building up. And just rollering it on. Just catching, make it lighter, darker in areas. Go over in a couple of spots. Haha, that's it. There we go. I want it kind of like a darkish background, which is why I chose to do this in my black journal rather than an ordinary one, because I wanted to start off with a darker base. Clean that mat there, and then of course I need to get this orange completely dried. So I'll be right back when I'm done. The orange has now dried perfectly, so I can grab that final colour of the lime. Some of that down onto the mat. Now I have noticed that it is actually going a little bit duller once it dries because we're doing it on the black. That's okay. Totally and utterly okay. So spread some of that green around. I'm trying to catch it in that middle layer. There we go. On the edges. Bit more down there at the bottom, I think. That's looking a bit white on my monitor screen here, so I'm not really sure how that's been picked up by the camera. It looks almost white, but it isn't. Better. Cool. Liking that a lot. Wrong lid, where's that come from? That's because it's off the midnight. Right, just clean off the brayer. Get that dry, and then I'll be back again. Okay, so there's the background that I've created so far. Now I want to add in some different kind of shapes rather than just those square kind of blocks. So I'm going to bring in the orange again, and I have a piece of bubble wrap. So I'm going to grab some of the orange paint, or tangerine paint, and as I normally do, I like to paint with a brush and then start dropping that so it kind of builds up some nice layers. I'm going to do more than one colour with this bubble wrap. I just think it's a really cool kind of texture to have in the background, particularly like towards the edges, because it kind of helps to bring your design together, because your focal point is pretty much going to be going towards the inside, the middle part of your pages. So to be able to have a nice kind of border that feeds in adds a nice finish to it. That's not to say you don't add some in the middle too. Just love adding these kind of layers onto the page, and I'm not going to have much down there. I've kind of got this idea in my head of how I want everything to be laid out, and I've created my focal image and the bits that I want to stick down on the page to kind of fit and coordinate with that. So let's try and bring that over the crease of the page. Yeah, I've just got it just so it's coming out. And I think just one more as a secondary over there. That'll do. So once again, I need to get that dry, and then I'll be right back. So again, now that's dry, I want to repeat that process with the green. So let's move that to one side, bring that green back in, and my bubble wrap, which has still got some of the orange paint on, so I'm not particularly too worried about that. Actually, maybe a little bit better. No, that's fine. Absolutely fine. Now that's what you call getting a good impression. Love it. Green's such a good colour. A little bit in the middle, and another piece over there, and I think that's going to be it for that colour. So that's where I've gone so far. Like it. Once again, let's get it dry. Okay, so green paint now dry, and I want to do some stamping now. So I've got another new stamp set from Indigo Blue. This time it's called Autumn Nights, and it's this spider web that I'm interested in. Some other cool kind of images on this stamp set. It is cut out, as you can see. Deep etched red rubber, beautiful set, but I want this spider web because I've also got the skullduggery border set that I used the other day. And for the ATCs, and also for the first project that I did with this bigger spider web here. So I'm going to team up and use both of those spider webs. I've got one on a small block, and I've got the larger one already on my Dylusions stamping block or journaling block, because it's big enough to fit the whole stamp on. So I'm going to be stamping not with ink this time. I'm actually going to be stamping with paint. So I have some titanium white. This is from Reeves, and I want to get some of this, and I've got some of the cut and dry foam. So you may remember when I did my retro poppies and flowers that I used the cut and dry foam as a stamp. I'm not going to be using it as a stamp this time. I'm actually going to be using it as a way of delivering the paint onto a stamp. So I'm going to load up the paint, just a block of the foam, just a small block. I'm just going to load up paint with a spatula into the foam. So I'm kind of creating a mini ink pad, but instead of it being ink, it's actually a permanent acrylic paint. And you can load it as much as you want, like so, and just feed it into the sponge. Like that. And then turn it over and then just tap, dab. Now when you do this with your stamps, you will need to wash the stamp almost immediately, because if you don't, the paint will dry onto the stamp. And I'm going to stamp that up in the top left hand corner. Just down, a little bit of pressure, and then straight off. And then I'm going to just repeat the process. Just go around the stamp, and then when I've done the second one, I'm going to go and wash it. I'm going to just stamp that off the edge of the page slightly. There we go. So I'm going to go wash that and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I've just washed it. It's all clean, all the paint's come off, no harm done. I use an old toothbrush to clean the paint off so I can actually get into all the impressions and recesses in the stamp. If I can't find the old one, I use Ian's, but don't tell him. So I'm going to bring in the other journaling block now and do the same thing, and I don't have to reload up the stamp. There should still be plenty of that white paint. If you don't have an acrylic, you could try doing this with white gesso, and of course it's a spider web, so I'm not 100% bothered about getting a total perfect impression. So I'm going to take that right up to the edge and just drop that down. Give it a gentle push and then take it off again. And then just go back once more over it. And then I'm going to do the same at this side. Doesn't matter that I might be going over the pattern. At this side, it's a spider's web, you get more than one. It just adds to that kind of more drippy effect. Or if you wanted to, you could just do a second gen stamp on the side just to give you, there we go. I now need to go and wash that before it dries. So again, I'll be back in a second. The white's now dry, but before I go on, I just want to say that you could obviously use white embossing powder for this if you don't want to use your stamp with the paint. Or you could use a white ink like Distressed Picket Fence. But I tested the picket fence on this Dylusions paper, and as you can see, it kind of fades and goes more grey than white. I think I prefer the more stark white than that grey. I did a little test beforehand, so I like the white as opposed to that grey. And that's the only reason why I like using the paint, because I get a better finish for what I want. Okay, so next up, I want to add some washi tape. So I'm going to add a little bit. I've got a collection of Halloween themed washi tapes here. I'm going to start building up some clusters. So if I can find the ends of these washi tape, because it's always, I know there are ways of doing it, adding, folding it over and all that kind of stuff, but some of these rolls of washi tape were sent to me in a happy mail and I've never used them because obviously it's only Halloween once a year. There we go. So I'm just going to add a little bit. Don't want huge amounts, just some. See, I normally fold over the edge. Get some of that brick wall effect in there as well, and you can team up whatever washi tapes you want, whatever takes your fancy. I've got some pumpkins. Love washi tape. Love it, love it, love it. Haven't quite finished yet. I don't think I'm going to use that one. And I've got one that's got like some spider webs on it, which is cool. So I'm going to use that one over here. just to give it a little bit of that festive kind of look, and a little bit of that one down here, because I've got a focal image that I'm going to stick down here. I'm going to put some of that, some of the brick wall, and then some of the bats. So pretty much mirroring what I've got over this side, for no other reason than I can. So I'll just create some tabs for those before I put them away. So while I'm doing this, I won't keep you hanging around. Okay, so everything's put away. The washi tape's put away, paint's put away, so I just need to grab some of my ephemera from the Tim Holtz Halloween collection, if you like. So I've just got 4 pieces here, or 4 or 5 pieces or 6 pieces that I like the colours of and that are going to go well on this side of the page. So I've already gone round the edges of most of them with vintage photo distress ink, so I've just got the last one to do, like so, just to kind of dirty up and grunge the edges. And then I've just got the cat. Love this cat, I think he's great. I'm going to be using him again on another project tomorrow, but you'll have to wait and see about that one. Okay, so that's all of those. So I'm going to create a little cluster of images with these. So to start off with, I want my bottom piece. So I'll start where I think that's going to go around about there, and then we're going to do a carbolic acid about there, and then we've got the Rochelle salts. That's going to go out there. I know it's going to hide some of the washi tape, but that's fine. Remember what we're talking about with the foundation stuff. And then I'm going to put that there, and then I'm going to glue the cat there. That's going to create that kind of cluster over this side of the page. So all I need to do is just to grab my glue stick, because I'm not going to stick them down with matte medium or anything. There's no need. The glue stick will be more than adequate to hold all these pieces in place. So I'll put the witch out there. And then it was the Rochelle salts. I love doing clusters. Clusters, clusters, clusters. Probably about there. And then Skelly Bob, Mr. Skelly Bob can go down there. And then Mr. Pumpkin, Mr. Pumpkin can go like so. So this is creating a nice cluster on the left hand side of the page. I've got my number 31. So I'm going to put that there. And then finish off with the cat. I don't mind that I've actually got some glue on there, because I'm going to be sticking something on this side of the page as well. Just making sure I've got edges. And my cat can go just over that edge there. Just wipe it down. Cool. Just rub that glue in. Okay, so my focal point for the next page is another, it's a collage, a digi-collage. So the first day of my 7 days of Halloween, I introduced you to Kirsty on her Etsy store, and I know that a lot of you have gone and bought stuff from her, which is absolutely fantastic. I've had an email from her saying that she's had quite a nice response from everybody, and thanking everybody for their support, for showing some love, and also to me. But I've also gone and bought some more bits and pieces, and I'm going to use one that I've put together on my computer. I used Adobe Photoshop. That's what you can see now. This is a screen grab from my computer when I was actually layering all the pieces from the collections together. Now the girl that you can see with the orange flower in her hat is from the first collection that I bought, and I'll put on screen now the second selection that I bought from her, which is the Halloween collection, and there's lots and lots of different elements on that, and I printed that off on my computer from my Adobe Photoshop and then cut it out, and now I'm back and this is what it looks like. So I'm going to stick that down there onto my page. So as you can see, it fits really well into the background. Well, I think it does anyway. And seeing as I'm only pleasing myself and nobody else, that's all that really matters. So, glue stick. Now I'm using the glue stick rather than matte medium because I don't want any bubbles, I don't want any wrinkles, and I have printed this off on just slightly thicker cardstock than ordinary printer paper, using my Epson WF 2630. Again, I'll put that on screen here for those people that want to know what printer I use and what ink I use. It's the Durabright ink, and when it's printed, although it's an inkjet, it is permanent. And that's what I've used for this. And I absolutely love the quality of the print that I get from the printer. To me, that's what I've produced on my own printer, and that's printed and purchased. I wouldn't have said you can actually tell the difference. I'm really, really happy with the quality. So there we go. So that's that stuck down. And I love the way how it actually blends into that background. So the final thing for me to do for this page, I noticed I've not done any stenciling at all. No stenciling whatsoever. Just all creating that kind of lovely mottly background. No stencils in sight. It's nice to take a break, do something a little bit different. So, I've got my quote. So, at the same time as I printed this, I also created a quick phrase to go onto my art journal page, and I'm just going to stick it down using that same glue stick. I don't know why I even bothered putting it away. I was on autopilot. I've already gone round, sorry, I haven't gone round the edge of this yet. I still have to do that, which is just going to darken it and help just to blend it a little bit into the background, that darker background. That's it. Just takes that stark whiteness from it, because you don't really want stark white on a Halloween page. I've even gone around the edge of this moon with the vintage photo. I know you can't see it there, I don't think. You might be able to see it on the close-up photos. Just to get rid of that white kind of edge. Okay, so now just add the glue on the back. And then I'm going to put that there. And then finish off with the last bit. make sure I'm getting the edges. Yeah, nearly fell off. Actually, let's bring it down there a little bit. That then brings it into that cluster. And then if I just want to add a little bit more grunge to it, I can just run that over the top. Love it. Absolutely love it. I love this character. I think he's absolutely fantastic. So that's it. That's my page for today. So all I need to do, just to finish off, is just sign it and date it. What day is it today? The 9th. I hope you've enjoyed watching me put that art journal page together. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. And if you want to see what I did for my 7 days of Halloween of 2017, I'll put a link to that at the end of the video too. So that's all from me for now. I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now.